You've been lied to, straight up lied to, by every slick-haired survival guru on YouTube, every tactical bro hawking affiliate links for their $300 ultimate bug-out bags, and every prepper podcast that's got you convinced you're one blackout away from Mad Max without a 70-pound rucksack strapped to your back. Picture this, you're 42, knees creaking from that 9-to-5 desk job, back screaming from hauling your kids' soccer gear every weekend, popping ibuprofen like candy because the doc says it's just age. Suddenly, the grid flickers out in your suburb, say outside Atlanta, Georgia, where the heat hits 95 and humidity turns your shirt into a sponge. You grab that beast of a bag, the one with the tactical moly webbing, stuffed with 50 essentials, multi-tool, headlamp, 12 MREs, a damn satellite phone you can't recharge, water purification tabs that taste like ass, and enough paracord to lasso the moon. You sling it on, feel like a Navy SEAL for about 30 seconds, then bam, your shoulders burn, your hips grind, and by mile 2, you're huffing like you just ran a marathon in Crocs. That bag? It's not your savior, it's your anchor. It's the reason you're the first one picked off by whoever's roaming the shadows, because you're moving like a wounded buffalo, visible from a mile away, too slow to dodge, too loaded to fight. And those gurus? They're laughing all the way to the bank while you're collapsed in a ditch, wondering why your preparedness turned into a death sentence. Why does this happen? Because that 70 pounds isn't gear, it's a grave marker. It's every redundant gadget whispering sweet nothings about just in case, while your bad knee buckles and your family's watching you falter. You think you're the protector? You're the liability. The one who can't run when the sirens start. The one who drops the pack to save your spine, leaving everything behind for the first desperate hand that grabs it. I've seen it in training. Guys like you, solid dads from Boise, Idaho, tough moms from Buffalo, New York, all built like bricks, but broken by their own essentials. That weight doesn't make you ready. It makes you regretful. And in the real crush, regret is what gets your loved ones hurt. I know what you're thinking. But what about the camping trips? The weekend warriors swear by this stuff. That's the second lie, the one that keeps you hooked on fantasy over reality. Those gurus aren't prepping for collapse. They're selling you camping trips with extra zippers. Picture the difference. Camping's your annual escape to Yellowstone, Montana. Fire pit ready, bear spray in the glove box, s'mores by 8 p.m., back home by Sunday with a tan and stories. You pack the Dutch oven, the camp chair, the solar lantern that charges your phone for selfies. It's fun, it's controlled. The Rangers are 5 miles away, and the worst thing that happens is a raccoon raids your cooler. Collapse? That's no escape. That's exile. No Rangers, no coolers, no back home by Sunday. It's you in the ruins of Raleigh, North Carolina, where the summer storms flood the basements and the power's out for weeks, not hours. Your kid's asking for the iPad that's now a brick. Your spouse's blood pressure meds are running low. And the neighbor you trusted is bartering bullets for batteries. The gurus won't admit it because it kills the sale. Their gear shines in the woods, where you can hike to the store if the stove fails. But in the crush, when supply lines snap and ATMs laugh at your card, that fancy multi-tools pliers snap on a rusted lock, your $200 sleeping pad deflates in the mud, and your emergency radio picks up static from a dead tower. They're not warning you because warning doesn't pay. They peddle comfort, not capability. You buy the illusion of control, the tactical vest that makes you feel invincible until your bad back says otherwise. But real prep? It's stripping down to what moves you forward, not what weighs you down. It's realizing that the weekend campout is a vacation and the world burning is war. And in war, you don't pack the kitchen sink. You pack the knife that cuts through the bullshit. Because when your family's looking to you, not for stories, but for survival, that camping crap becomes the anchor dragging everyone under. And you'll hate yourself for believing the lie. But here's the cold calculus that changes everything. The multiplier rule that separates the living from the loaded down dead. Forget the checklists. Forget the essentials that sound good in a video, but suck in the storm. Every single ounce in your pack must earn its keep by doing at least 3 critical jobs. Not maybe helpful tasks. Not nice if you have time bonuses. 3 life or death multipliers, or it's trash you leave behind. Why? Because in the crush, your carry capacity isn't infinite. It's finite as hell, limited by your 45-year-old frame that's carried mortgages and minivans, not rucksacks and regrets. That bad knee from the pickup basketball league, it won't forgive 70 pounds. Your lower back from lifting kids and luggage, it buckles under excess. And time, you've got none. The grid's dark, the roads are choked. And you're moving or dying. So why haul a flashlight when your phone does light, plus navigation, plus morale boost from that family photo? Why a dedicated compass when your knife's spine levels true north? One job equals dead weight. Literal dead weight that slows you, marks you, breaks you. Take the garlic press in your kitchen, cute for dinner parties, useless when the power's out and you're rationing cans. Now imagine that press strapped to your back while you're evading shadows in Spokane, Washington, winter wind slicing like knives. You'd ditch it in a heartbeat. Same with survival essentials. The single-use water pouch that holds liquid but can't boil or cook. The tactical pen that writes but won't pry or stab. They're luxuries from the world that still has stores. In collapse, luxuries kill. Multipliers save. A tool that starts fire, make it signal flares and morale magic too. A bottle that holds water, let it nest a cup for boiling, warm your core at night, even swing as a blunt defender. Rhetorically speaking, what's the point of a sleeping bag if it can't double as a drag sled for gear or a vapor barrier against swamp chill in Louisiana bayous? Zero. It's ballast. The rule stings because it forces choices. That sentimental family photo locket? Ditch it for cordage that ties shelter and snares life. Your kid's favorite stuffed bear? Trade it for tinder that keeps them warm. Harsh? Damn right. But ask the single mom in Memphis who hiked 20 miles with twins on her hip during the 22 freeze. She didn't make it with gadgets. She made it with a knife that carved, cut, and comforted. The multiplier rule isn't theory, it's triage. It's the difference between the guy who packs pretty and perishes and the one who packs smart and survives to hug his kids again. So ask yourself, in your bag right now, how many items pull triple duty? How many are just waiting to betray you when the world demands more? Because when that moment hits, and it will, faster than you think, dead weight isn't just heavy. It's fatal, and your family deserves better than your illusions. But let's ignite the first multiplier, the spark that doesn't just start fires, it defies the cold that's coming for you faster than you think. 90 minutes. That's all you've got in wet 40-degree hell before hypothermia turns your veins to ice and your decisions to delusions. Not the dramatic freeze of a Blizzard novel. But Genesis needs an edge to carve it from the wild. The tarp's your canvas. But without a blade to shape the stakes and slice the cord, it's just a pretty sheet flapping in the gale like your resolve when the first rain hits. The tent trap? It's the prepper's biggest blind alley, that 4-pound nylon sarcophagus you pitch with pride in your driveway show and tell. 4 walls zipping up like a promise of peace while your kid's t-ball glove sits forgotten on the porch. But hoisted in a midnight squall outside Tulsa, Oklahoma, poles buckling like cheap promises, fabric shredding on a thorn bush, and it's not sanctuary. It's a siren call, a glowing beacon yelling, "Rob me blind," to every scavenger in the storm. One trick, zero twist. Puddles pool in the valleys. Dew drips like doubt on your sleeping bag. And when the flood creeps or the blizzard buries, you're boxed in your own folly. Knees jammed fetal against the crowding nylon. Back howling from the forced hunch, while your cholesterol meds mock you from the side pocket. I've yanked families from sodden tombs in the Ozark Hills, Missouri. Dads like you, 50 and scarred from factory lines. Moms juggling allergy shots for the little ones' nut-free snacks. They shelled out for the Dome of Doom thinking it was the fix. Set it up flawless in the yard, but when the creek rose and the zipper iced solid, it morphed into a damp crypt. Gear drowned, spirits sunk. Why shackle yourself to a solo act sack when the apocalypse flips scripts hourly? Downpour begs drains, gusts demand deflectors, scorchers scream shade. Your tent can't pivot, can't vanish, can't even haul the hurt when your spouse twists an ankle mid-evac. It's a perk for picnics, a peril for pandemonium. And when your slipped disc flares from the low loft crawl and the family's prescriptions teeter on the edge of the pooling wet, who mends it? Not the fiberglass. You. But you're too busy battling the bunker you banked on. Chuck the cage. Claim the chameleon. Because the tarp isn't cloth. It's chaos conquered, a 10x10 olive drab titan that snaps open like a dare to the downpour, rigging an A-frame bastion from twin trunks and taut twine in under 60 heartbeats, shedding sheets of rain like scorn while flames lick the leeward lip, toasting your toes without torching the tent. Lash the ridgeline twixt pines in the Ponderosa stands of Flagstaff, Arizona. Your son's Cub Scout badge hunt scrapped by blackout, kin clustering close. And you forged a slanted stronghold, drip line distant, dry as a desert bone amid the deluge, or shear it to a lean-to slant, low flank flush to the frenzy, high flank hitched for hearthglow, ideal for vigilant vigils in the vine-choked valleys of Chattanooga, Tennessee, where your gout pills pulse with the pounding pulse, and your posture begs for propped perch. Poncho ploy? Gash grommets for girth and gullet, cap the crown, and you're phantoming through the fronds, droplets dancing off like dodged bullets, Stride swift when the satchel sags and the trail twists treacherous. 90 ticks from tidy to titan. That's the tarp's taunt to the timid. The tally it's a feather to the folly's 4 pounds. Crinkles to cardstock compact for your cargo pocket when the crossing calls. I've beheld bands from Billings, Montana, stoic stockmen with sciatica from saddle sores, matrons marshalling Montessori meetups, morph a mil-spec membrane into mite mid-monsoon, offspring chuckling beneath the barrier while sires sigh relief, spines spared the stoop. No fasteners finking like your fortitude post 40-hour shift. No struts stabbing like slights from that skipped spring fling. Just filament fixed, pegs pounded. And presto, the tempest's tantrum tamed while you tally the trek ahead. Adaptability ain't an add-on, it's your armor. And when the heavens hurl and your brood's brows furrow, pa, what's the plan? The tarp thunders back, all of it, any of it, right now. But the tarp's terror lurks in the lore it layers, the libations it lures from the lacerating lash of lightning, the luminaries it launches when loneliness looms lethal. Tilt those tabs into a trough beneath thunder's throe in the thorny thickets of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, your bursitis barking from the burden, boys' braces a bygone luxury, and you've harvested hectoliters from the heavens, hydration's holy grail from the hurtling hail you can't coin at the corner mart when meters mock your coin. Camo cloak? Cascaded over copse and creeper, merge with the mire like the myth you must become. Unseen to the stalkers or scavengers sniffing satchels like yours, your herniated hamstrings hailing the horizontal harbor while the hearth's hush harmonizes with the hush of the hunt. Signal sentinel? Stretch the scarlet side span wide on a summit at sundown, crimson clarion catching the copter's cast from 500 feet aloft, Morse mimicking with a magnesium match if the mishap mounts. Here hail, haul us sans squander or squint. I've witnessed wonders from Wichita, Kansas, wind-whipped wheat farmers with worn vertebrae from wagon wheels, dames directing dance recitals, tarp taut as a toxin when the twister tore. Rotor, sisters chatterine, rotor roar rousing from the rubicund ripple through the rubble. Words whooshing like wishes granted. No nodes nodding out like your nerve at 3 a.m. No nets netting naught like the networks when nodes nap. Just polymer prowess. Twisting torment to triumph, frailty to flare, dew from doom, veil from venom, flare from fog. The tarp doesn't merely muster realms, it manifests them from the maw, murmuring to your maltreated marrow, you dictate the design. And when the welkin weeps and your whelp wrenches your wrist, gaze gleaming with the glee of a grotto from gale, you'll grasp, this ain't apparatus. This is alchemy. One pain, perpetual providence. But providence craves a cutter to cleave it from the cruel. But the tarp's true terror lurks in the lore it layers, the libations it lures from the lacerating lash of lightning, the luminaries it launches when loneliness looms lethal. Tilt those tabs into a trough beneath thunder's throe in the thorny thickets of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, your bursitis barking from the burden. Boys' braces a bygone luxury, and you've harvested hectoliters from the heavens, hydration's holy grail from the hurtling hail. You can't coin at the corner mart when meters mock your coin. Camo cloak? Cascaded over copse and creeper, merge with the mire like the myth you must become, unseen to the stalkers or scavengers sniffing satchels like yours, your herniated hamstrings hailing the horizontal harbor while the hearth's hush harmonizes with the hush of the hunt. Signal sentinel? Stretch the scarlet side span wide on a summit at sundown, crimson clarion catching the copter's cast from 500 feet aloft, Morse mimicking with a magnesium match if the mishap mounts. Here hail, haul us sans squander or squint. I've witnessed wonders from Wichita, Kansas, wind-whipped wheat farmers with worn vertebrae from wagon wheels. Dames directing dance recitals, tarp taut as a toxin when the twister tore, rotor roar rousing from the rubicund ripple through the rubble. Words whooshing like wishes granted. No nodes nodding out like your nerve at 3 a.m. No nets netting naught like the networks when nodes nap. Just polymer prowess, twisting torment to triumph, frailty to flare, dew from doom, veil from venom, flare from fog. The tarp doesn't merely muster realms, it manifests them from the maw, murmuring to your maltreated marrow. You dictate the design. And when the welkin weeps and your whelp wrenches your wrist, gaze gleaming with the glee of a grotto from gale, you'll grasp, this ain't apparatus. This is alchemy. One pain, perpetual providence. But providence craves a cutter to cleave it from the cruel, because without a blade to baton the branches and notch the knots, Your infinite worlds stay sketches on the wind, unrealized until the edge bites true. The endless knife debate? It's the prepper's favorite fool's errand, that endless squabble over hatchets versus machetes, folders versus fixed, multi-tools versus monotasks, all of it a distraction that leaves you with a blade that buckles when the branch bites back. Hatchet? Too hefty for your herniated disc from hauling holiday hams in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. 3 pounds of chopping champ that chokes on carving or close quarters scrap. Machete? Too lengthy for the thickets? Too tip-fragile for the fray. A jungle jester for Amazon adventures, not the alley scrambles of Albuquerque, New Mexico, where your gout grips the grip and the swing's too slow for salvation. Multi-tool? Adorable for the office, those pliers pinching pennies on pocket repairs. But baton a 4-inch log for your lean-to and the jaws jam like your jaw after the dentist's drill. Scissors snipping nothing when sinew needs slicing. They're for the world with warranties, not the wilderness where your kid's karate class kicks are your only cardio and your back's betrayal comes mid-swing. Why wager your wrist on a wonder tool that wonders when it works? Why load your lumbar with a chopper that can't carve or a slicer that can't stab? The debate distracts from the dagger that delivers. One blade that bends but doesn't break, cuts but doesn't quit. I've tuned tools with crews from Tallahassee, Florida, swamp-savvy shrimpers with slipped shoulders from net hauls, moms marshaling music lessons through muggy mornings. They bicker brands till the blue hour, then field test the fakes. Folder folds under force. Hatchet hauls like an anvil. The survivors? They sharpen the simple, the edge that endures. Full tang carbon steel. That's the unbreakable gospel, the spine of steel running seamless from tip to tang. Handle scales just hugging the core like loyal kin in crisis. No weak weld to whimper when you batten birch for your bivvy in the birch groves of Bangor, Maine. Your arthritis aching from autumn leaf raking. Kid's clarinet case a casualty of the carry. Strike the spine with a stout stick. Drive it through deadfall like destiny, splitting logs for your lean-to without the hatchet's heft hammering your hamstrings. Carve it clean. Notch the notches for your ridgeline. Strip the bark for tinder twists. Feather sticks for fast flame when the pharaoh's fury fades. Defend without drama. Draw it swift from the sheath when the rustle reveals raider. 5 inches of honed hunger thrusting true in the tangle. Better than bluff when your voice vanishes from the vice of fear. Carbon's curse? It rusts if you slack, but that's the school. Hone it on river rock like your resolve on rough roads. Oil it with sap or fat from the fowl you field dress. Stainless shies from the sharpen. Stays shiny but slices dull. Full tang forgives the fury. Pry the prying post from the palisade. Wedge the wound in wood without warping. Abuse it like the apocalypse demands, and it answers with allegiance. I've forged fates with fathers from Fargo, North Dakota, frost-bitten farmers with frozen facets from furrows, dames drilling drill team dreams through drifts. They test the tangless. Folders flop, partials part ways. The full runs faithful, batoning blazes, carving cradles for the cradle robbed. No junction jilts like your joints after jazzercise. No half-heart holds when the half-light harbors horrors. It's the blade that births your bastion, the cutter that claims your carve from the cruel. One edge, endless empires. But empires entwine. Cord calls next to not the knots that keep the kingdom standing. Paracord's dirty secrets? It's the prepper's pretty poison, that rainbow rope reeling you in with its 7-strand magic myth. Inner filaments fishing fine for finesse work, while the sheath stretches like a bad excuse after the barbecue blowout in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Your sciatica shooting from the shrimp boil stoop. Kid's kickball kicking up dust you dodge with a wince. Wet from the whisker of a whisker storm, it sags like your spirits at 2 a.m., knots loosening like your grip on the grocery list when the grid ghosts. UV gnaws it gradual, turning tough to tatters over weeks in the wasteland sun, those versatile strands slipping like secrets from a spouse, too slick for snares that snag supper, too frail for fixes that last the lunge, bulky for its boast, a half-pound hank hogging space in your hip pack while your hypertension haze demands haste. Why wrap your waist with a wonder that's wet weather weakling, sun-scorched sellout, knot killer when the noose needs now? Why load your lumbar with a line that lies, promising pull when it pulls apart? The secrets sting because they're sold as salvation. Every affiliate ad ignoring the inevitable. Paracords for parades, not purgatory. I've unraveled regrets with ranchers from Reno, Nevada. Dust-dry drillers with disc woes from derrick drags. Moms mustering majorette marches through monsoons. They trust the tangle till the twine betrays, strands snapping like synapses in stress. The survivors? They sever the sham. Cord craves conquest, not compromise. Bankline supremacy. That's the silent sovereign. Narthka 36 tarred twine tested to 350 pounds of pure pull, the commercial fisherman's fist that fists fate without flinching, knotting knots that laugh at the lash of lashing winds in the levee lands of Little Rock, Arkansas, your lumbago lancing from lawn-mowing legacies, daughter's dance recital dreams deferred by the deluge. Tar impregnates it impervious, UV unfazed and water-wary, no swell like paracord's soggy surrender, staying taut as your temper after toddler tantrums. Diameter dines on discretion, thin as thread for traps that tick silent, strong as sin for suspending the satchel when shoulders scream, holds the hitch like history holds grudges, bowline biting back, taut line tuning tight without the twist that tires your thumbs. Commercial creed. Alaskan crabbers curse anything less. Hauling hauls through hurricane howls without a whimper. Why settle for stretchy synthetics when supremacy stands steadfast? Why burden your battered back with bulky braids when bankline binds with brevity? I've bound brotherhoods with boatmen from Biloxi, Mississippi, bayou bred with bulging backs from bait buckets, dames directing debutante dues through downpours. They lash the lesser, watch it wilt. Bankline binds the breach, hauling havens from havoc. No slip like your sleep after shift's end. No fade like faith in false friends. It's the cord that crowns chaos, the twine that tames the tempest. 300 feet of forever. But forever frays. Fixes follow to fuse the frayed. Gear's inevitable betrayal? It's the apocalypse's opening act, that quiet crack in the confidence you built brick by blade. The snap that says, not today, when the branch bucks or the boot splits mid-stride in the scrublands of Santa Fe, New Mexico. Your osteoarthritis ogling the overreach. Kids kite-flying afternoons a phantom from the fray. Poles splinter like plans in a pinch. Tarps tear on thorns you can't see in the half-light. Bottles dent from the drop you dodge with a dodgeball dad's dive. Brakes don't announce, they ambush, turning your trusted toolkit to trash in a twinkle. Leaving you lurching with a load that's now liability, your lower back laughing last as you limp the load alone. Why feign the flawless when failure's the forecast? Why pack the pristine, pretending it persists when the path pummels and the pack pounds your posture to paste? The betrayal bites because it's baked in. Every stitch strains, every seal sweats. Every strap sags under the siege of survival's spite. I've mended mishaps with mechanics from Madison, Wisconsin. Machine shop mains with mangled mitts from millwork. Moms molding mud pies with meticulous might. They mourn the mighty till the mend mends, realizing rupture's the right. Fixes don't happen, they're forged. And when your family's footing falters on the faulted fix, prescriptions pending in the peril, who welds the wound? Not wishful thinking. You. But you're the break-begging mend. Duct tape alchemy. That's the silver sorcery that transmutes trash to triumph. A 20-foot ribbon rolled razor flat on a retired receipt card. The humble healer that halts the hemorrhage and hatches the haven when the havoc hits in the hollows of Huntington, West Virginia. Your hypertension hammering from the hall. Kid's hockey helmet, a heavy headstone in the heap. Bandage the gash. Butterfly the butterfly stitch across the laceration from that low branch lunge, stemming the stream that saps strength while your statin stash waits for the wound to weep no more. Patch the peril. Seal the seep in your satchel with a sandwich of silver on both sides, waterproofing the woe so your woolens stay warm and your whetstone dry. Ignite the impossible. Wad a walnut-sized wad. Fluff the fibers like fate's favor. Ferro flash it to a blaze that burns blue-hot for minutes, kindling the kindleless when the damp devours your duff. Bind the breach. Twist it to twine in a crisis, lashing the loose to the lost. A makeshift manacle for the mend, or a muzzle for the makeshift meal. Alchemy ain't accident. It's adhesive engineered for the end times. Pressure-sensitive polymer that clings through the clammy clutch of cold sweat. Flexible as forgiveness in the freeze. Tough as your temper when the twister threatens the trailer. Why waste the wonder on walls when it welds worlds? Why hoard the heavy when the handy hunkers in your hip? I've alchemized anguish with artisans from Albany, New York. Assembly line anchors with aching arches from anvil anthems. Dames designing dollhouse domains through deluges. They dub the duct dirt, till it dams the deluge, bandages the bite, births the blaze from the barren. No noble metal needed, just the gray grace that grips the grit. Ounces of oracle. But the oracle observes, breaks beg the binder, and the binder bows to the brain that beholds the bind. Chaining tools. That's the harsh harmony, the hidden heartbeat, where spark kisses steel, and steel summons shelter from the savage, turning isolated iron into an ironclad empire when the ether empties in the Everglades of Everglades City, Florida, your fibromyalgia flaring from the fen trudge, Kids' kayaking capers canceled by the creeping catastrophe. Pharaoh flashes first. Ferrocerium fury forging flame from flintless friction. That 3,000-degree dance devouring the duff you duct-taped from despair. Blaze blooming to boil the bottle's bounty. Stainless sentinel simmering the sludge to safe while the tarp tilts triumphant overhead. A-frame angled against the anaconda coils of cloudburst. Blade bites next. Full tang fury felling the forked limb for the frame. Carbon carving the clefts that cradle the cord. Bank line binding the bows with bowline's bite. 350-pound pledge pulling the poles plumb while the contractor bag cups the catch. Plastic pavilion pooling the purified pour for the pot that warms the wrist weary. It's not linear, it's labyrinthine. The loop where leak meets lash and lash lifts the load. Duct tape darning the dent in the drinker. Tarp twisting to tow the twisted ankle. Cord coiling to cradle the catch from the creek you chained to camp. I've orchestrated odysseys with outlanders from Olympia, Washington. Orchard owners with osteoporotic ostentation from orchard overhauls. Moms mapping macrame mysteries through mists. They hoard the horde till the harmony hums. Spark to sanctuary in symphonies swing. No solo saves. The chain chases the chaos, each link lunging the leap from lone to legion. Rhetorically, why wield the wonder in isolation when the weave wins the war? Why whisper the what if when the weld whispers, we win? The chain's the creed. Tools tango or they tumble. And when your kin clusters in the kindle's kiss, eyes etching the etch of endurance, you'll etch it eternal. One spark seeds the shelter that saves the soul. Practice or perish. That's the pitiless postulate. The backyard baptism that burns the bullshit from your bones before the bonfire of the world beckons, forging fumblers into finishers when the familiar fractures in the fjords of Friday Harbor, Washington, your diverticulitis digging in from the dockside drudgery, kid's fishing rod a relic in the rubble. Backyard drills aren't drills. They're doomsdays in miniature, the deliberate dance where you douse the domicile's lights at dusk, dash the dynamo, and demand the dark deliver its decree. Pharaoh to flame in the frost of February, fingers fumbling the frippery till friction flows fluent, bottle bubbling the brackish from the birdbath while the tarp tense the tulips against the tempest you trigger with the hose. Blade batons the birch branch from the border bush, carbon cleaving the cleft for the cord that coils the canopy, bank line binding the boughs with a bow that's second nature, not second guess. Contractor cups the catch from the kiddie pool's crud, plastic purifying the pour under propane proxy, duck darning the deliberate dent you deal to the drinker for the drill. I've hammered homecomings with homesteaders from Helena, Montana, horse handlers with hammer toes from harness halls, dames delving into decoupage through dawns. They dawdle the demo till the discipline dawns, fumbling the pharaoh till it flares faithful, tarp twisting till it's temple true. No notions the now. Practice perishes the panic, backyard baptisms birthing the bold that braves the breach. Rhetorically, why wait for the whirlwind to wet your will when the weeds whisper, what if? Why wager your whelps on whims when the work wins the war? The drills don't delight, they demand. And when the ether empties and your eyes etch the etch of the eternal, the practice proclaims, you're not prepping, you're proven. Comment your setup and city, state below. Let's see what chains you're forging. Like if this lit a fire, share if it saved a soul. Gear's the spark, but the mind's the blaze. Stay sharp,